people, how's it going? Welcome to another video. Welcome to the bedroom. We are back in the bedroom. Does anyone else have a girlfriend, a wife, a partner that loves to just, wake up one day and decide to rearrange the whole house? Yeah, I live with one of those. Sometimes it comes in handy, other times it's like, whatever. Anyway, welcome to another video and welcome to another episode of Albums Ranked. It's October, it's scary period, so I thought, why not go in with something completely different to what I'm normally used to. If you know anything about me, you'll know that death metal is not my genre. So it might not be a surprise when I say grindcore is also not my genre. So why don't we go through and rank all of Mortician's albums, the death metal grindcore slam brutal death metal band. I remember, like most of us, discovering a very iconic album cover from these guys and thinking, good lord, I need to listen to that. And I heard it and I thought it was awful. So I was like, all right, forget about that. And I just, like a dirty secret, like a dirty affair, I kept going back to it, just trying it on more and more. I'd get through a couple of songs and then before I knew it, I was like, all right, let's rank the whole thing. So we've got 5 studio albums to get through. And because it's such a short there's such a short list, I'm actually going to chuck in 2 EPs as well. So we're going to do everything from Hacked Up to Barbecue all the way up to Reanimated Dead Flesh. And we're going to include the House by the Cemetery EP, and we're also going to include the other one, Zombie Apocalypse. So yeah, just to make it a bit more fun, make it a bit more full. If you're a Mortician fan, let me know down below what your favorite Malva is and why, and what came first for you. Was it the Mortician music or was it the love of horror films? So yeah, without further ado, let's just get straight into it with coming in at number, how many are there? Is it 8? 8 or 9? 7, coming in last at number 7. So coming in at the bottom for me is actually their most recent album from 2004, and it is Reanimated Dead Flesh. You could argue that a lot of the stuff sounds the same. It's death metal, it's grindcore, it's very done. However, if you really listen to it, you can hear subtle differences between them. We're more clued on than that. However, this one was fine. Don't get me wrong. If you can handle this type of style of music, then you're gonna love any album regardless. But this one, I felt like was just missing something. I don't know what it was exactly, but it didn't pack so much punch as much as what came before it. Do you know what I mean? But like, there are still some excellent stuff on here. Werewolf's Curse. It's a great opener, and it's actually, now that I look at it, it's one of the longest songs apart from the last song, which is a whole 4 minutes. That's like grindcore Dream Theater length, But yeah, Werewolf's Curse is a 3-minute song. Everything else is, roughly 1 minute, 1 minute and a half type thing. But like, Human Beasts, that's a great song with the screaming intro. I think it's that one that has that. And if you're a fan of horror, it's actually a lot more fun. Well, it's actually a lot of fun to listen to these albums with all the old school snippets of horror films in them. I find that just such a fantastic touch. I was just like, what a cool thing to add into your music, when you just have but then you've also got, lines from things like The Boogeyman and Werewolf in London and The Hills Have Eyes and things like that. So yeah, it's a fine album, don't get me wrong. It's not the longest album, it's only 40 minutes long and it's 22 tracks, but like, yeah, I just felt like something was different about this one. Something was missing. I'm not sure what, but yeah, I just didn't want to really listen again. So yeah, number 7, Reanimated Dead Flesh. Number 6 is, is it the album that comes before it? I'm not sure. Yeah, this one's from 2003, and this is The Darkest Day of Horror. Now, from this point on, really, they're pretty much all enjoyable. Like I said, there's only 7 albums, right, that we're talking about today. So they are all pretty damn good. So if you, and like I said before, if you can handle this style of brutal death metal, then you're gonna love any of it regardless. But this one was fun. Like I say, from here on out, they're all pretty much incredible. This one's a bit basic in my opinion, but like, there is still some cool stuff on here. This one's another 40-minute album, so it's not the longest one. It's 20 songs, the longest song on here, the last one being 5 minutes and 6 seconds, good lord. But yeah, Voodoo Curse, that's a cool one, slightly longer. You could tell which ones have more more presence of like horror snippets just by going off the song length. Like the first song, most first songs on these albums open with, half of the film's trailer music or whatever. Like Audra from the film Curtains is nearly 4 minutes because it has a long dramatic film intro, whereas the next song, Slowly Eaten, is only 50 seconds long. So you can imagine that one's just going to be you know, that's all good. Don't worry about that. Don't let the length of it put you off. But yeah, excuse me, Human Puzzle off this album, that one is probably one of my favorites because it's a lot slower, it's a lot heavier, it's more it's more sludgy, it's just real disgusting. If I'm whispering and I'm slightly quiet, it's just because my boy is napping in the room next door and I don't want to make too much noise and wake him up. But yeah, Human Puzzle was awesome. Chopped to Pieces was great. Revenge, which has a snippet from I Spit on Your Grave, that one's just great. Cannibalistic Friends is a bit of a frantic one, I remember that. Ghost House was good. Oh, honestly, like I say, this album, well, these albums from here on out are just awesome fun. Like, it's a great time. The Bloodseekers was cool, and just, yeah, it's a fun album, don't get me wrong. I just love the other ones more. So yeah, number 6, Darkest Day of Horror. Coming in at number 5 is the album, again, that comes before it, Domain of Death. Look at that album cover. That's honestly one of the coolest album covers. I just think she looks evil and frightening and just absolutely amazing. This one is cool. I remember getting to this one and it's sort of like the Split, I think, because this one comes after they have like a very, you could say, iconic, memorable first half, and then they get this half of everything we've talked about. So you get like from Domain of Death onwards, it's almost like the band's, not that they have like a big creative difference or whatever in sound, it doesn't change or anything, but you can just, it's like early half, first half, or early half, later half, do you know what I mean? Having said that though, again, this album is just cool. This one's awesome. This one's, again, 36 minutes, so this one in a way flew by, with the longest song being the last one again at 5 minutes. That's insane. But and this one opens with a 2.5 minute track called Brood of Evil. So there's more snippets in that one, but yeah, look at these songs. Extinction of Mankind is 40 seconds. Cannibalized, 52 seconds. Pulsating Protoplasma is nearly 3 minutes. That one is cool. God, I remember that. But yeah, my favorite one on here, I think, might be The Hatchet Murders, just because of the intro that comes with that. It's a freaky one. That one's from a Deep Red film, the film Deep Red from 1975. That one's just, yeah, it's scary. It's, yeah. Telepathic Terror, I thought was weird. I think I remember that one being a bit, I want to say all over the place, but it's Brutal Slam, so everything's all over the place. Dr. Gore was funny. Tenebrae, is that how you say that? From the same film the same name. That was fun, but yeah, obviously not their best in my opinion, but better than the other ones. So yeah, number 5, I think, Domain of Death. Cool. Now number 4 is our first EP. Number 4, I've gone for House by the Cemetery. Now I researched, so if you notice, if you're you know, avid Mortician listener, you'll notice that on Spotify they have them all, they have the CD releases of when they like combine shit together, like this one with, I think it's Hacked Up for Barbecue, I think, off the top of my head, without thinking about it. Obviously that was just a nightmare to listen to with it all mishmashed, so I went to the effort to listen to them separately so I could really hone in what goes where. And when I listened to House by the Cemetery, I listened to the CD release of it, so I had all the covers involved. You know, it's still, you could say, EP length, even with the covers. 10 tracks in 24 minutes, you know, it's a bit short for a full CD, but then Bathory's debut album is pretty much 26 minutes, so time length aside, I listened to the version that has all the covers, and well, I say all the covers, there's 2 covers on here, so yeah. It's just, this album, this little EP, I remember hearing it and just thinking, good God, this one is heavy. It's slower, like it's not doomier, but it's slower and it's heavy and it's sludgy, you're dragging it through mud. It's just insane. Like intro, Defiler of the Dead, it was just so cool. World Domination was amazing. And even like the little House by the Cemetery / outro was cool. You know, the outro was cool. But then all the little covers and whatnot, they were fun too, you know, like the Procreation of the Wicked by Celtic Frost, that was a fun one. Scum, the Napalm Death cover, I hadn't heard that song before from Napalm or by Mortician, but I really liked that, so yeah. It was really cool. It's a good little EP, and it's humble beginnings almost, you know. It's, I think, their second EP. They did do an EP before this one called Brutality, something or other, Brutally Mutilated? Mortal Massacre? I don't know. They did another one, but it was only like 12 minutes long, I think, so I didn't include it. There's no point in that. But yeah, humble beginnings, very slow, very dark, very heavy, very good. Number 4, House by the Cemetery. Okay, here we go. This is where it gets fun. Number 3 is their official debut album, Hacked Up for Barbecue, which is taken from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre intro, you could say. It's actually taken from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, I believe, if I'm correct, with the opening, because you can tell it's a lot more, the opening from the second film is a lot more descriptive, like with what they're talking about. The first one's just, yeah, listen to, or is it from, yeah, I think so, yeah, either way. Hacked Up for Barbecue is a great album. It's a fantastic debut. It's an iconic album cover. It's honestly so amazing. Blood Craving, From When a Stranger Calls, that's just great. You've got to love that one. Embalmed Alive was awesome. 3 on a Meat Hook, taken from a film of the same name from the 70s. Just fantastic stuff. Cannibal Feast, I thought that was great as well. Apocalyptic Devastation, that one was cool. Abolish, Hacked Up for Barbecue, the title track, you could say, really cool stuff. Decapitated, Drilling for Brains, honestly. Eaten Alive by Men, Witches COVID, that was a weird one, but I did like it. It was pretty fun. And Mortician, the title track of the band, is what ends this album. Yeah, honestly, Fog of Death, just, it's a great album. It is very go, 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 but there's a lot of horror samples on here, which made it really, really fun to listen to. This is a longer album. It's 50 minutes, it's 50 minutes, 24 tracks. The longest song being the first song at 5:13, the shortest song being Brutally Mutilated at 40 seconds. Off the top of my head, yep, 40 seconds for that one, so good old grindcore for you. But yeah, honestly, if you're trying to get into more brutally slam stuff, maybe start with this one, because it's the debut. Where else are you going to start, right? So yeah, it's a fantastic album. Number 3, Hacked Up for Barbecue. So coming in at number 2 is actually a tiny, tiny bit of a wild card, you could say. It's the other EP that I put in the list, Zombie Apocalypse. I can't remember his name, but I watched someone else do a tier list of Mortician before getting into this ranking, just to get a vibe of who likes what. And he chucked this one quite high up in the tier list. I think he chucked it in A, but I don't know, but he said it was underrated. And I was like, oh, whatever. When I saw that Mortician were doing an EP, well, an EP and a Zombie Apocalypse titled EP, I was a bit like, oh, okay. In terms of the whole grasp of horror, the whole thing, zombies aren't really my favorite. I find them a bit dumb and a bit overused and a bit stupid. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, righto. However, great album cover and obviously fantastic little EP. It's honestly so good. Devoured Alive is a fantastic opener. It goes for just over 3 minutes. The longest song on here is Hell on Earth, which is sadistic as fuck. It's a crazy, crazy song. There's 2 covers on here. FOD, which is of Dead by Slaughter, and Horrified by Repulsion. Those 2 are great. Dissected is fantastic. And Blood Harvest, probably the best song on the album. It's honestly amazing. That's another 4-minute song, so it's like proper death metal. But yeah, Slaughterhouse is another one of my favorites, and Zombie Apocalypse as well. Honestly, it's just, there's something about it. It's not very long, obviously. The songs are a bit more longer, so they feel like more substantial songs, but goddamn, they're catchy, and the snippets of horror films are done so well. And yeah, it's just a little fantastic EP, and I really want to think about getting this one. So yeah, number 2, the Zombie Apocalypse EP. So bit of a cliche, you could say, but it has to be, right? Number 1, Chainsaw Dismemberment. That's the album cover that I mentioned at the start, where it was the iconic album cover, where it's just like, good God, look at that. There's the girl tied to the wooden post with a head on top, and half her leg is missing, and there's just pretty much Leatherface just standing in the background with his chainsaw ready to come back. Everything on here, from the riffs to the drums, even though the drums are sampled on pretty much all of these albums, doesn't matter. It's still great to listen to. This is a 50-minute album. There's 28 songs, but good God, it's insane. Everything from Stab, the opening song. I think it's the eeriest opening song they've got in terms of horror snippets that they've got. When a Stranger Calls is where that one comes from, where it's like, we trace the call, he's coming from inside the house, get out of the house. It's just fantastic. That one came out in the 70s, I think. When did that one come out? 1979, yeah. Drowned in Blood is great. Mass Mutilation from Henry, the Portrait of a Serial Killer, that one's fun. Rabid, that one's fun. A boy infected a town with rabies, that one's great as well. Decayed is from Texas Chainsaw 3, and then of course you have the title track Chainsaw Dismemberment from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. That's where the opening of that is from the second film, because he says, your friends packed up for barbecue, which is from the second film, not in the first film. So cool thing to know. Psychotic Rage, Funeral Feast, Wolfen, great song. Camp Blood, that's another fantastic one. Slaughterhouse Part 2. Just fantastic stuff, honestly. You could pick any of these songs to mention that they're good. And it's a shame that the title track, well, the title track is 2.5 minutes, but mostly because the horror snippet over it is quite long. So in terms of actual death metal Chainsaw Massacre, it's quite short. But yeah, it's just a fantastic album, honestly. It's 50 minutes long, 28 songs. If you ever see it in the shop, just buy it. Do what I did. If you can't handle the brutal slam of Mortician, just tease yourself with it like I did, and just have an open mind that music can be this aggressive. It's honestly great, especially for October. It's kind of rehashed my love for horror films, and I'm gonna do a horror film ranking after this probably. But yeah, honestly, Chainsaw Dismemberment is a fantastic brutal death metal album. If you haven't heard it, I highly recommend you get onto it. So yeah, that's my ranking. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, team, while I sit here and quietly get increasingly more passionate about Mortician albums. Like I said at the start, let me know down below what your favorites is. Are you a basic bitch like I am and you love Chainsaw Dismemberment, or are you a black sheep in the family and like Reanimated, Dead Flesh, Death Domain, you know, those later ones? Get the conversation going. This is why we have it. Also, what's your favorite horror film of all time? Let me know. Always love to talk about that kind of stuff. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me, team. Keep an eye out for the next video. Don't know what that will be, but until that happens, everybody, stay inside, stay safe, jam Mortician, and I will see you all in the next video. See you later.